Here we go. This is our April 27th coffee hour, and we are talking today with Courtney Morris from Lima City Schools. He is their Career Tech Director. I think maybe 2 years ago, Courtney started a program through a grant that they received for some middle school programming, and he named that the Extreme Team. So Courtney is presenting for us today. I just want to give him a shout out as well because Courtney is just kind of a Renaissance man. He's a motivational speaker. He's an author. He's also a singer. Just a real joy to be around. And I am very happy to have him here presenting for you today. Courtney, I don't know if you are sharing your screen.
I have one thing that I'll end up sharing here in just a second. I'll talk a little bit and then I'll share it and then I'll take any questions.
Well, I'm going to stop my share then.
Okay. Excellent. So good morning. Yep. So again, my name's Courtney Morris. I think I recognize most of the faces that are here on the screen here today. So appreciate you guys having me. Sorry if my voice is a little crazy. Sorry if you see me in a hoodie and a hat. We rolled into Lima City Schools about 4:30 this morning from the Columbus airport. So we were at the National DECA competition down in Orlando. So we did get a second place down there, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty awesome. Got some DECA glass while we were down there. So Lisa, if there's anything I miss, obviously we've been working on this a little bit together, so please don't hesitate to jump in and do any of that. But a couple years ago when I came into to being the director, I came from teaching at Apollo Career Center. I wanted to go into administration, came in being the director, and didn't really know exactly, working in such a big district like Lima City Schools. Kind of had this thought in my head. We were looking at the numbers in our career tech programs. We were looking at the interest in our career tech programs. How do we make our numbers grow? Those types of things. And in my head, it only made sense that, the best way to get a student excited, interested, and passionate about something was to start in the younger years, right? And so I had all of these different kind of ideas. I started with this idea called Skills in a Box, where I wanted to have like 5 or 6 different, what are the main things? I asked my instructors, what are the main things that you want your students to know prior to coming into your program? And so they talked about measuring, they talked about depending on what the program was. And so I created these boxes and wanted to put them down in the elementary classrooms and have these little cutouts of my instructors with information about them. So that way the students could start learning about them and understanding who they are and learning these, skills that they needed and that type of stuff. And so I had this great idea and I was like, yeah, let's do this. And we had this unveiling during Career Tech Month, and we were just all these different types of things. And then the more that I reached out and started talking to our middle schools, I started to realize that we had a lot of career tech type things and programming going on in our middle schools. We just had no connection between our elementary to our middle school to our high school. It was like there was all these great things going on, but there was no connection that filtered into what our programs were up in the high school, because there was no communication between the different schools in our district. And so that became kind of the big thing that this expanding opportunities grant that we had received, we started working with North Middle School, one of the middle schools in our district. And when I got over there and started talking to the principal about it, she's like, oh, we already have something that I think would really work with what you're talking about. And I was like, okay. And so when I started talking to these 3 teachers, there are 2 teachers who teach the self-contained classes, and 1 teacher teaches a gifted class. And so these 3 teachers have kind of been working together as part of this extreme team. And the reason why it's called Extreme Team is originally it was STEM, then it was STEAM, and then it was STREAM because they added reading. And then I said, well, you know what? I want to do employability skills and stuff like that. So let's make it extreme. And so that's what we did. We added the E into it. and kind of went from there. Now I'm going to show you what our first initial idea was, and then I'm going to talk about how that kind of changed and morphed a little bit, because that's really how this went. Like, I came in with an idea, they already had an idea of what they were doing. And throughout probably that first year, we were like, oh, okay, this is kind of where these two things collide, and this is where it's going to work the best. So I'm just going to share, and I'll end up zooming in so you guys can see well. So if you see just kind of all together, this is kind of a little infographic that we had made, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can kind of see. I had decided to create kind of 4 different areas of what I was thinking about with this extreme team, based upon kind of where it could fit into some of our different programs that I felt we were kind of lacking in. In Lima City School District, we have different magnet schools, right? So we have an arts magnet, we have a science and tech magnet. And so this middle school that I was working with wasn't necessarily a magnet school. And so it was, well, what can they kind of provide that can filter into, some of our programs? So we had Desi, the designer, with graphic design, illustration, photography, printing, Sammy the spy, which was coding, hardware builds, app building, hardware install, Robert the robot, coding, robotics, CAD, 3D printing, and then George the gamer, which was game coding, game design creation, virtual reality, and esports. And then Eliza the engineer, audio engineering, audio recording, video editing, and video recording. And so the whole idea was, a video game, right? You click start, you choose your character, and then you kind of go on. And we had like little micro credentials and different things that were kind of like our own little micro credentials and things that were kind of attached to it to get them in that feel of career tech, to get them kind of in that flow. And so I presented this to the ladies, and they really liked it. Their thing was, hey, you know what? We're already doing some of those things. So we really want to concentrate and include those. And then, hey, you know what? We've got a lot of students, like our students are, we've got a lot of them who have already shown an interest in some of our manufacturing trades, have already showed an interest in some of those types of things. So what they ended up doing was what we kind of ended up planning. One, we used the grant to purchase some equipment they needed, supplies that they needed, those types of things. And I tried to make sure that I purchased certain equipment that matched some of the equipment that we were using in our high school program. So I'll give you an example. Our engineering program, who does some 3D printing type stuff, we have some very high level Markforged 3D printers, but then I also purchased 3D printers that were lower level for the students to practice on and learn how to use that type of stuff. Well, I made sure that I practiced those, or I purchased those same 3D printers down in our extreme team program. So that way those kids were using the same program, the same softwares, the same 3D printer, like getting your basics, like those types of things, making sure that we attach that. What the teachers did on their own that was really, really awesome was we have a couple years ago, I believe it was maybe Millstream, somebody had shown and talked about a career guide, magazine that had all of your different programs in it. It had how much money they can make in jobs. It had the job market statistics. It had all of these different things in it. And us at Lima City Schools, we did not have anything marketing wise that was out there. I mean, it just wasn't, as a comprehensive school, our students filtered into our program. So like the school didn't really truly believe that marketing was super valuable in that. And so when I came in, I thought otherwise, right? It's this idea of getting students excited, engaged, those types of things. And so we had these career guides, and we passed them out to our to all of our instructors. We passed them out to our elementary and middle school principals. We passed them out to teachers who wanted them. And the extreme team pretty much took our career guide. They actually took it apart, made their own slides. They connected it to, although it was connected to our programs, they ended up like almost creating their own curriculum out of just our career guide, they started sharing it, almost like renting it out like a library book to other teachers in their school and stuff, where I was like, hey, we have like 4,000 of these. I can give you a couple, please. And so we started uh, kind of going based upon the careers then that we already had up to high school, which again, this makes sense because this is what we were, I spoke about this at the beginning about communicating and connecting to these students at a younger age. What is ahead of them? What is it that that they have the opportunity to go to? Because one of our big things at Lima City that we've really been pushing in career tech is one student at a time or one child at a time. And so it's this idea of like, what is their path? Like, what do they, want to do? And so that's what they started doing. They started having these conversations. Students started, researching and looking at the programs that we have. What are the jobs then that are available with that? How much money then can they make at that? And the teachers started interviewing then the students, and the students had to report back on programs that they had looked at through our career guides. They ended up each getting, a career guide. We ended up doing tours where, and of course, these are a lot of things that you guys are already doing. Again, I know majority of you where you're doing these tours and getting kids into, the seats and getting to mess with the equipment, getting to see what the labs look like, that type of stuff. But these three teachers really took it to the extreme, is what they ended up doing, to where they truly worked, this career tech, curriculum that they had created into their class. And the really neat thing was the success that came out of all three classes. So, we saw success in the gifted classroom as well as the self-contained classroom. And majority of that success came from the fact that a lot of these students ahead of time were not having the opportunity to even see what was out there. Like we talk about in Lima City Schools, we are the best kept secret career tech is, because even our own students don't know what we have. Like even some of our own high schoolers who are on the opposite side over in the academic world, right? Like they're like, no, I've never even been to the career tech side. And it's like, we're literally right across the parking lot. Like, so it was just making sure, like, we wanted our students to be able to make informed decisions. This was also kind of one of our, I guess, counters to, making sure that we are equitable later when we are having students, filter and flow into our programs. Our belief is truly that if we can get them passionate and excited and informed at a younger age, then we're not going to have, you might have a handful, but we're not going to have all of those kids who, learn halfway through their first year, hey, this is not what I want to do, because we've given them now enough opportunities to really be able to make an informed decision to say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is not what I want to do. To add to this, it's not an extreme team thing, but we did add sophomore introduction classes now. So that way students can come in and actually truly get a semester of hands-on in a sophomore introduction class. And they actually have the ability to take more than two. They back up against each other, but since we're a 9-period day, our students have the ability to kind of rotate through and filter into some of these programs. We're looking at doing some of that down in the freshman year as well. And then of course, what we're talking about here is this middle school stuff, to where they're getting the opportunity. Again, we want students to say, no, this is not what I want to do, as much as, yes, this is exactly what I want to do, to be able to kind of have that. So in the extreme team, matching up to those things that I showed you on the flyer originally, and then matching into the programs that we have, they did initiate a lot of coding. We did some virtual stuff with some virtual reality things for those kiddos, just to keep them safe, some of that type of stuff. The 3D printing, and then one of our big things was we had our high schoolers from our classes come down and teach those three teachers on certain things. So we had Sphero robots, which involved coding. We had, I forget what the little pieces are that they put together. It was another engineering piece where they had to connect like circuits and those types of things. These three teachers, they didn't know how to do, really any of this stuff. They were just excited. They really wanted to, learn a lot of new things. And so we brought the experts. We had our high school students come in and teach them. They came in a couple of days. I was in there a couple of days. I think, Lisa, were you there for one of those days when they were in there? And the
Yeah,
kids had a game.
I was able to hang out and spend a day with one of them as well.
Yeah. So the kids had a game plan. The teachers asked whatever questions they wanted to. And our high school students were really excited for a couple of reasons. One, some of these teachers were the teachers that they had growing up. So they were able to, teach them, which was super cool. And two, this is what they were passionate about, right? It's like when you guys do your, when you guys have, kiddos come in for walkthroughs and for on-campus days and stuff like that. Like, these high schoolers are super excited to show their passion, that type of thing. And so we were able to see that and get that done as well. So we did see we have video reaction of these kiddos when they used our program videos that showcased what our labs looked like and had interviews with kids and stuff. We have reactions from when they found out, how much money they can make for doing something they love. Like the teachers videotaped these types of things so that way we could see that kind of aha or that, excitement piece that kind of initiated in them from going through the Extreme Team program. Now, what I will say since then, we have had more teachers added to the Extreme Team program at North. And there's talk right now with a couple of our other middle school principals about adding their type of extreme team at their school, depending on, again, what magnet school, what type of magnet school they are and those types of things. So, okay, I think I've talked about everything I wanted to, Lisa, unless there's something I left out.
Yeah, I'll just add in the videos. The one thing that really I can remember watching was a little boy, probably what, 6th grade, kind of not really paying attention. And then the welders got up on the screen and this boy just kind of like just turned his head. His eyes were great big. And he's like, what? I can do that in high school? Like
Yeah.
he had, like, it was just, you really did see that light bulb moment with this kid that I'm not sure he would have ever had that connection if it hadn't been for the programming with the Extreme Team.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I did kind of brush over that. So I apologize. But it was a big deal. Again, that was caught on film of him doing that. And as you watch that, I mean, you have to watch about 15 minutes wise, because they're doing this whole process and he is not paying attention. He's not doing, and then that video jumps on and he's asking questions. He's, paying attention. He's, man, like that's what I want to do, and I don't know if it was the fire and the sparks or whatever it was, but he's like, that's at my high school. Like, that's where and it's like, yeah, it is. And so that was, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And they definitely, although it wasn't caught on film, the teacher said there was a lot of those, types of things. And when you get them into the high school and are able to get them that hands-on piece, then of course it just,
and I think what's important about that is, they say that students decide to drop out of high school when they're in 6th grade. So to be able to get this program down to the middle schools and catch them at that age, to let them know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, just stick with us, right? Because even though they can't drop out until, a little bit later on, they've already shut down when they've made that decision in 6th grade. So things like the Extreme Team, getting what Career Tech is a proven evidence-based practice. If we can get that down to the middle school level enough that the kids know what's coming, I just think that we could keep them for us, right? Because especially for students with disabilities, I think I've shared this data with you before. In Ohio, we have over 4,000 students a year dropping out of high school, don't even complete high school every year. 4,000 kids, just kids with disabilities. And so if it's kind of unfathomable to me, right? That's a large number. And so if we can get some hope through Career Tech education at that age where they really start to think about, oh, well, I could just drop out. I think the Extreme Team is the answer to that, or one of the answers.
Yeah. And I think too, the other party that we didn't really talk about with this is what it's done to the teachers, right? So these are academic teachers, right? These are teachers that, really are starting to see the connection between career tech and academics at a younger age. And so they have been our cheerleaders with really kind of changing the mindset of some of our other teachers down in our middle school and elementary classrooms. And that's a big deal. That's a fight. I know that the rest of us know, we have that fight with that idea that, career tech is still for, bad kids and stupid kids, right? Like that, there's still as much money and as much talk about career tech as we have, in Ohio and in the United States. We still have that thought. And a lot of that comes from some of our own staff, some of our own teachers, those types of things, especially at comprehensive, or even if you're, a feeder school or, getting fed from other schools. So like we have these teachers now that are going, no, I don't want to just sit in my classroom and teach out of this textbook. Oh my gosh, you're going to let me play with robots. Oh my gosh, you're going to let me 3D print in my class. And like these teachers now are, excited, they're spending extra time. They're going to extra professional development. They're doing, all these things because they're like, wow, this is awesome. And to be able to do that and fund that through career tech is a really, is a really cool piece to be able to do that. So.
Courtney, thank you for sharing. Do any of you have questions for Courtney?
I do.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Courtney. How are you?
Good.
Good. All right. I may have missed this at the beginning because I was grabbing my coffee for the coffee hour, so I apologize. But you talked about the materials like handouts. You're sharing videos. I think we talked about it last Octa casually that one of the struggles we're having at OHVA is professional materials, right? And finding someone to do them and then the budget to do them. I know that you are extremely creative and capable of creating your own materials and resources. Are you doing this, or are you hiring someone? Who's creating these videos and who is creating the handouts and such?
Yeah, sure. So, I've had two different people now. So the last videos that we did, was a company out of Columbus. And I am losing their name right now, but I can send it to Lisa and have her put it out. But a cheaper, route is who I'm using now, which is a company that actually is I live in Bluffton, and they're just right outside of Bluffton. Standout Creative Studios is the name of that company. He is a single entity, but he is great at what he does. He has been, since he is a single entity, it's been really easy and flexible to get him to come into the classes, the labs, and shoot video and do whatnot. We actually, I'll even give you prices on things. I spent for, let's see, I've got 12, 15, so for 20 videos, that's looking at, because I've got 12 programs. So it's about 2.5 minutes for each program video. And then we have an overview video that's about 5 minutes long with interviews with students. And then I have 3 other videos. I just kind of worked them in case I wanted videos for other things. And then I gave 5 of my videos, 5 of those videos went to our high school principal as well, in case he wanted videos. So I was trying to kind of, get it all worked in there and kind of make everybody happy. We paid $18,000 for all of that, is what we paid. Before that, when I did just the 12 videos and an overview video, so that's 13 videos, we paid about 24 or 25,000 to the group there out of Columbus. Majority of that was paid, through one of my grants, because it's a marketing. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember which one, because I've worked marketing into a couple different grants, so that way I can, utilize that. I will say that the career guides that we had done, I'll have to get you the name of that company too, because we're getting ready to do some more. They're out of, I think, Indiana, and we added, I think we paid maybe like $6,000 to $7,000, I think, for like 3,000 of them or something. Like it was a really it was a really good deal. And they actually do all of the research on the jobs, the job market. the like how much money you'll make, like all of those types of things. All I did was provide, they'll do images as well, but like I provided my own, images of my own students doing some of the stuff. They'll put in a local business if you want, so you can kind of showcase a local business. They have different things that you can put in. So we have a whole thing on CTSOs, talks about each CTSO. We have a pathway piece that shows all of our 3 different pathways. We even have some stuff that talks about some of our middle school programming and some of those types of things. But yeah, I'll get all of that information to Lisa so she can send out to the group, so that way those companies. I will say too, and Lauren, I know you were down there with me at Okta, because I grabbed one of their flyers, the new little booklet that somebody had on our table. I can't remember which school it was. Do you have it?
Drawing a blank right
Lauren's
now.
like trying
I gave it to my coordinator, and she, I think, even contacted that
Okay.
district to see, but I don't know that we've heard back. Yeah.
Well, I really liked that. It was a little bit smaller, which was cool, but it still had all the information. I liked that. But the bigger ones that we had, those, we took those out to doctors and dentist office and like all of these other places like around Lima. We have them at Lulu's and the other restaurants. Like they are everywhere. And so the nice thing about those bigger ones was it actually explained career tech in it. And so when for us, we've got this city that doesn't know us and doesn't understand, what we have to offer. So it was nice to have that smaller one. I don't remember how much I had in there because of it being smaller, but so either way, they were both very nice.
Thank you for that. That's very helpful. And then again, I sorry if I missed this, if you explained it at the very, very beginning. With the Extreme team, how often are they experiencing these interactions and these experiences? Is this like a regular class, or is this like a once in a while thing?
Yeah, so no, it's definitely very, very regular for them. Like I said, with that group, I was very lucky that they were already doing some of this stuff, right? When they were the STEM kind of group, and then they were the STEAM, and then the STREAM, and then, I just added the Extreme team into it. So they do meet daily. So they are getting a dose of something based around, career tech daily. Now, again, what they kind of have done is a little bit of a rotation kind of to where they have like, okay, we're gonna work on coding this time, but this group might work on, something that's going along with manufacturing. This group might work on something, but then there's also times they're like, hey, this project's too big to just work in these groups. We want to include, all 3 of the class, because they do meet and have the ability to meet at the same time if they need to, with them being a middle school and they have a pretty flex schedule. That there are a couple times like the self-contained students, because they're not venturing out into a lot of other classes, because of course they're self-contained. They have the ability to work with the gifted class when they need to, or when they can, kind of that type of thing. But they are daily getting some sort of interaction with some type of career tech material.
Any other questions? All right. Well, Courtney, thank you so much for sharing with us.
No problem.
Really appreciate your time, and I think the information is valuable for all of us.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I'm going to head back to bed. So we'll see you guys later.
All right. So one thing I wanted to point out, I know Courtney is in a comprehensive, as some of you on the call are also comprehensives, but this kind of programming could also take place through career centers, right? I tried to brainstorm ways that career centers could also provide this kind of experience for their partner school, middle schools. So one idea was to create a mobile CTE exploratory lab that could travel between partner schools for programming. Maybe you could provide mini grants to partner schools And those who submit their plans for the use of resources, you could purchase or require that they attend a summer boot camp to learn how to use the resources before you purchase them. You could develop a makerspace lending library and loan out the resources with the curriculum. Or you could use your students who you have trained in the Lean Six Sigma to figure out a solution to be able to provide this kind of experience for your partner schools. So lots of ideas of ways that career tech centers could also embed some kind of extreme team programming. But I think the key to that is, he purchased the equipment because the schools don't have the budgets to purchase mini robots or circuit training or 3D printers. Like those are kind of expensive items, but through career tech funding, he could purchase those for career tech education at the middle school level. So just wanted to share that idea of ways that could also be done with career centers. So now we've reached the point where I ask people if there's any questions that any of you have for people in the meeting. So does anybody have any kind of career tech questions that you want to ask the group?
Hey, Lisa, it's Kim from SST6. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Good. Hey, I just wanted to share with you guys that I'm working with a district in SST6 region, and they are doing a secondary transition enhancement project. So we're really working on developing competency alternatives for students with disabilities. They have a satellite location from Ohio High Point. I'm not sure the right language for that. So they have, and he's CBI is what he's doing within the local school district. So as a part of this project, they've actually brought on his supervisor, and then they brought the CBI teacher himself. And we've had this discussion with the principal and the guidance counselor, and they have done such an amazing job. And I just wanted to share this because these are classes that they were already teaching on site, but now they're going to be incorporating those industry recognized credentials. So they've been brainstorming and planning and researching and looking for those industry recognized credentials that they can add to the already established coursework that they were teaching at the local district, if this is all making sense to you guys. So I'm just so excited because it's going to help students with disabilities, yes, but it's going to then help all students that are there. So I'm looking at indicators 1 and 2. So dropout for students with disabilities and graduation rate for students with disabilities, and trying to find ways to creatively meet the competency alternative, because they do have students who struggle demonstrating competency on Algebra 1 and ELA 2. But they've done such a great job in partnering with Ohio High Point to do this. And there are funds that are attached to it from my regional project. But now that this, the Career Tech supervisor has been attending the meeting, she's been a part of the planning, she's done research, she's called the vendors for the industry recognized credentials, and she recognizes this need. So she is actually planning in her budgeting, that she can do as a supervisor. She's adding money to continue the work. So it's a great way that a local district who has these opportunities, a satellite location in their district, because the kids have struggled getting out of the community, a way that they can partner to still get this done. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And what I loved that you just shared was the information about the partnership. The reality is, folks, our local schools, they're going to figure out a way to get work-based learning, to get industry recognized credentials. But why does it just makes so much more sense if we in the career tech help them with that, if we can partner with them and form those partnerships, because sometimes that data might come back to you anyways. So why not be supportive and helpful? And I think maybe you'll see, I have a quick video I hope to share with you of a new person I've found that I love just as much as I love Kevin Fleming. And that's kind of what she's preaching, is this collaboration, that we are not individuals. We are people first. and we should work together, because when we work together, we get better results. So thank you, Kim, for sharing that. Another person who could not be here today, they had another meeting to attend. They are really looking at rebooting their program advisory committees, and they're looking for templates for like agendas or note taking for minutes. So if any of you would happen to have a good version of that, we would love to see an example. He's actually really taking a team this summer to look at and reboot their program advisories. So if you would have resources for that, I know that that director would greatly appreciate that. So if you can send those to me, if you have some to share, we would appreciate it. Angela Cassidy, Public Schools, raise your hand. Go ahead, Angela.
Good morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all today. This question is for Kim, who just spoke. Kim, you mentioned a CBI plan. Would you mind sharing that? Is there a way that we can get at least a description of the model you all are using at this time?
Sure, I can share the plan. I'll send it to Lisa so we can send it out, the plan that we came up with. They already had the established teacher in the district from, it's USV, Lisa, if that helps to
Okay.
explain anything. So they already had the CBI teacher in the district. So he had that endorsement for CBI, but his supervisor is then at the Career Tech Center. So I'm learning about how all this works together too, but he already was teaching the content on site. So that's what I love about it too, is that they're not doing something new. They're just adding these industry recognized credentials. They took the time to research it and find the ones that are most appropriate for the community, and add those into what was already going on. So they're changing the names of the courses, the description of the courses, and they're being intentional about planning when they're like OSHA 10, they want to offer like for 9th and 10th grade. And they're adding up how many industry recognized credentials that they could get, potentially start working on it as a freshman. It's not going to hurt. And then they want to offer OSHA 30 as a junior and senior. Like they're mapping that out, which was pretty cool. But I will send Lisa the plan that we came up with so you can take a look at it if you'd like.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kim. Looks like I'll have a lot to send out to you guys after this meeting. So I personally have a couple of questions for you too. And in our last coffee hour, the feedback form had asked if you were willing to be a guest speaker like Courtney was this morning. And I had 2 people give me ideas of what they could talk about, but they didn't tell me who they were. So if you were offering to provide your building-wide progress on data collection and detailed feedback, I would love to know who you are. So if you want to send me a private message or send me an email, and the other person said they were willing to talk about their student spotlight night, I'd love to be able to share that with this group, but I need to know who you are so that I can get you on the schedule for next year. Again, just an email or send me a message in chat. That would be great. And thinking of next year, I've started to try to line up some people for our coffee hours. So I do have in August, I have from Penta Career Center, one of their social workers is going to talk about what kind of supports the social workers provide to Career Tech Center students. Because I know some of you have social workers and some of you don't. So I thought that would be a good opportunity to see like, what's it really like? How are we utilizing social workers with our career tech students? And then for our October coffee hour, this one is not yet confirmed with a yes, but I am hoping to have North Point ESC present on how they are using their youth science data. She presented at the Success Bound conference last week with Tech Prep. And I really thought it was fantastic what they were doing with that data collection from youth science, and so much potential with that. So I'm hoping that she will be our October speaker. So again, if you offered to present on a topic, I really need to know your name. And now it's time for me to share some of my new finds. I always think, oh my gosh, I don't have enough. And then when I sit down to put my new finds together, I feel like I run out of time because I do find things. Most recently, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but the law firm, Ennis, it used to be Ennis Robertson, but it's now just Ennis and Britton. And I know some of you actually use that law firm. They tweeted out this article, and I have live linked it here for you. It's an article basically explaining, hey folks, when your people are coming to you and saying we have to stop having criteria for entry, this is why, right? So we've got our law firm explaining why it is that we should not have entry requirements for career tech education in most instances. And the reason I share that is I know that as some of you have started to look at that work, you've gotten some pushback from teachers who just don't understand and are frustrated and maybe a little scared. And so I think that this might be a piece for you to say, like, look, it's not just me as your supervisor or director. It's not just ODE telling us this. We have this information, and this is what our lawyer's saying about it. So I highlighted for you what I thought was probably one of the strongest. It's important to understand that career tech programs in Ohio must provide equal access to all students who reside in the Career Tech Center's territory. This is a mandate under both state and federal law, including Appendix B, as well as the Ohio Revised Code. These laws do not strictly focus on outcomes, but rather access, because that's what we often hear is, well, they're never going to be able to get a job in this industry. Well, we don't know that. Assistive technology growing leaps and bounds. And so we don't know what they're capable of. And sometimes students who we think aren't capable are capable of way more than we think they are. So just wanted to share that with you. I also heard, I was talking to a career tech supervisor who said, we take away these requirements and now we're getting more students with disabilities and our teachers don't know what to do. Okay, so we need to make sure that we prepare them, right? We need to make sure we're giving them the supports they need to help our students be successful. So I don't know what that is for you, but I thought I would share a couple of ideas, right? So do they just need knowledge on the history of IDEA and what the disability categories are, right? Which would help them to know that 80% of our students with disabilities are totally capable of achieving at the same cognitive level as our non-identified students, right? So that information that comes out through learning about the history of IDEA and learning about those disability categories. I know that when I present on that is shocking to most people in the room. They had no idea that it did not take a cognitive disability to be identified as a student who needed an IEP. Do your teachers just need more help with learning about evidence-based strategies? Do they need help with learning about those teaching strategies that have the highest impact, research-based, with hundreds of research projects to say that, yes, this educational strategy is definitely working for students? Maybe they need universal design for learning training. I am a huge proponent of that. I love UDL. I know TPS has trained several of their career tech teachers on universal design for learning, which is just a framework for how you think about the roadblocks, how you remove those roadblocks, and then choose the best strategies to teach that. Or maybe they need some diversity, equity, and inclusion training, right? This DEIB training that they just need to think a little differently. Maybe they need to reflect on some biases. So what is it that your staff needs to be ready to support students with disabilities in the classroom? And then when you're thinking about providing professional development to prepare these teachers, I just wanted to remind you about what it means to have high quality professional development. And that's sustained, intensive, collaborative, job embedded, data driven, and classroom focused or lab focused. And I'm going purple on the screen, so I need to make someone a co-host just in case I get booted off. So Kim, I'm making you a co-host just because I might get booted off.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Don't know why that happens, but it happens to me. So this is recommended for making sure that it's not a one and done professional learning. And you'll notice that I put the little arrow here with 4 sessions is what we recommend here at the SST. But this is a rubric that also might help you when looking at what, as you're providing these areas to make sure it's high quality, will not meet if. And that's where you see if it's only 3 sessions, right? It's not going to meet it. It needs to be more than 3. So 4 or more. And you should be looking at least 15 hours, right? If it's lower than 14 hours, it's not high quality. So this is like a year-long PD. What can you do those first teacher work days to give them some knowledge? How every month can you give them some knowledge? I think last summer I attended a session where someone presenting on how they prepared their staff. So they knew they were going to go to full open enrollment lottery. And they spent the entire year before they did that having a weekly 1-hour PD session for all staff all year long. It's a commitment, but it makes sure that your teachers are prepared to serve all students. So just wanted to share those things with you. I really like this rubric. If you print it off, you might be able to get a better view of it. I know that this makes it a little bit smaller on your screens. And then another new find, which goes along with PD, Hanover Research is a company I have learned about recently. And they are a company that charges, but they have a lot of free material as well. And they had this kind of information that was free. You just go to their site. If you go to their site and you search the title there at the bottom, it talks about what makes good professional learning. And I really liked this process here, like before the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting. So it's that continual effect. It's not just come to the meeting and learn, and then we're going to move on to a new topic, right? So this before the meeting, which you could do during a meeting, because we all know teachers don't have a lot of extra time to dedicate on their own to doing additional if you're going to be covering the topic. But you could start with meeting saying, okay, it's your choice. Watch a video on this topic, listen to a podcast on this topic, read an article on this topic. You could have that list of what you would like them to do to build some prior knowledge before you get into the meat and potatoes of the topic. So again, Hanover Learning, I think they've got some really good free resources for you, and that is live linked for you in that presentation here. Another thing from Hanover Learning that I liked, but was also like, oh my, right? So it talked about data, and we're all looking at data lately. With Perkins, with our Perkins 5 and having to pay attention to our special populations, looking at data differently than maybe we have in the past, looking at different data, making our teachers look at their own data and reflecting on that data. I found this very concerning, right? So when we think about, we are increasingly asking teachers to have data-driven discussions and make data-driven decisions, but only 17% of teachers report that they learn to use data in their education preparation training. Only 17%. So they're not coming to you knowing how to use data to make decisions. They're not in that habit. But then, right, we have 77% of teachers who agree that their school leaders are encouraging them to use data, right? We're telling them use their data. OTES is telling them use their data, yet they really don't know how. And they're also reporting that roughly 57% of their administrators are modeling how to do that. Well, what about the other 43% that are not, right? So if we're asking our teachers or expecting them even through OTES to use data to make decisions, we have to figure out a way to help them know how to do that. And so I thought this data was helpful. They do have this checklist for you. So if you just go to that checklist quickly, right? So this is where you can get the download on the checklist. You just fill out this form and they will send that checklist to you. Again, all of this is free. They are a company that does charge for services, but they provide a lot of free resources as well. I was sharing this with a colleague and she's like, oh yeah, I go to Hanover all the time. I'd never even heard of them. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you. And then just for a little fun, if you want to get lost in a rabbit hole, these are some really fun websites. Maybe just if you've got some downtime, check them out. I think that there are some fun things that your teachers might enjoy that they could use with students. So I won't show you these, but I wanted to make sure that I gave them to you so that you could explore them when you have a little more time. And then I came across this lady and I have 5 minutes to share the video of her. She's fantastic. She is high energy, some really good data. She goes very fast. So I will try to pause it so that you can see some of the data, statistics, graphic visuals that she shares. I think what I'm sharing is kind of a promotional piece for her because I think she is someone that you also would hire, but there's a lot of stuff out there on her website, videos that you might want to share with staff. So I wanted to give you a taste of her. And then if you are interested in seeing more of her in like 20-minute, 30-minute videos, that link is here for you as well. So we'll watch this one together. Future of work.
Please help me welcome Forbes contributor, author, and future of work strategist, and you're going to love her shoes, Heather McGowan.
I predicted in March 2020 that the coronavirus would be the biggest catalyst to business transformation in history.
And Heather McGowan is my go-to person for the future of work. There are a lot of mirages out there, but Heather is the oasis. She's the real deal. One of the things that she really brings to the discussion is put in visual form. It really helps people understand the dramatic shifts now going on in the workplace.
Applying the mental models to the past, to the future, is a liability. And we're not going back. Let's talk about what we're going into.
We've formed some habits. Those new habits are our opportunity to redesign work, to unleash the potential of more of us.
Heather shared rich data and personal insights that most of our leaders had never seen before and brought it to life in a very real, digestible, and credible way. Her presentation really opened our eyes and gave us a glimpse of what's to come.
Your most valuable asset is your trust. Products and services are souvenirs from trust. Think about every single interaction you make. Am I building trust or am I burning trust? How many of you have people on your team who have skills and knowledge you don't have? All your hands should go up.
We were so excited to have Heather speak to our group. She is provocative, engaging. She speaks with compelling data and bold truth. Our audience was left wanting more.
38% increase in unhappiness since 2006, a 38% increase in burnout since 2019, a 25% increase in anxiety and depression. Those numbers are higher in the US and they're higher with younger populations. So how many yoga classes does that take to fix? How many meditation apps should we buy? We have a structural problem that we're pushing on the individual. Everything we do should be to improve the human condition. That should be our highest goal. And innovation is either solving a new problem or solving an existing problem differently. And in order to do that, you got to better understand the problem. How do you better understand the problem is through empathy and communication. We talk a lot about how the pandemic changed where work takes place. It's actually 5 questions. The pandemic has removed the factory default settings of all aspects of work.
As a university president, entrepreneur, and board member, I have never, ever seen anyone better than Heather at demystifying complex information to provide a path to action and value creation.
It's collectively that gives you the Great Reset. This is an empowered workforce and you have to lead it differently because it's not about where work takes place, it's where
So I think this is one of those slides that really is important for us and our staffs to think about, you know, what does it mean, this great resignation, and what is it doing to our workforce? The great retirement, we know what that's doing to our workforce. The great reshuffle, right? This reskilling, that's the opportunity for our adult eds, right? Our adult education centers to really start offering more because people are looking for something different. They want to upskill. add new credentials. The great refusal. I think this is more of the kiddos that we have right now, our juniors and seniors. They're looking for companies that are going to meet their needs, and that's not always money. So really learning about what does that mean? What does it cost to contain, right? And then the great relocation, this remote work and life work balance. When I think about the great refusal, I was again at Success Bound, and one of the companies is letting people work 2-hour shifts. Never heard of that before, right? This is a manufacturing company allowing people to work 2-hour shifts because they're refusing to work more, right? Or you have people who are willing to work, maybe some moms or some college students, but they can't work a full 8 hours, 40 hours a week. So this company said, great, we're going to give you a minimum of 2-hour shifts. You have to give us 12 to 14 hours a week, and they're getting workers. The great relocation. Remote work is real. Are your teachers looking at their programs and thinking about, are there remote opportunities for our kids, right? The pandemic, our shutdown really made impact with that. So I'm not going to show you any more of this video. At the very beginning, when they were flashing through the different visual slides, please go back and look at those. It's really interesting, the stuff that she has put together. Heather McGowan. She's the future of work strategist. One thing that I didn't show you on her video, but kind of made me think of what Kim shared with us earlier about those partnerships, right? We need to be doing this. This is what Heather says, enabling success, right? If there's a problem, and we have a problem, our kiddos need to earn industry recognized credentials. We have kids who are not passing their end of course. Then we need to think about how to make that happen. We're enabling success. We're collaborating with our peers. We're using intrinsic motivation, and we're finding effectiveness through inspiration, right? That is where we need to be right now, not here. Another app that I came across, I love this app. It's called the Otter app. And if we were recording right now, what it would do, if I had the app going, it would record each of us and then put it in text. It might say speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 1, speaker 2. But then once I said whose voice that was, it would put it into their name. I think there are tons of educational uses for this app, so I wanted to make sure that I shared it with you. If you have not yet seen, the list for the IWIP is out for 23-24, and I wanted to make sure that you saw that they have added a ton of items to that list from the healthcare industry. And so if you look at that list, which I think is the blue, nope. The one that I noticed, I'm probably not going to find it quickly because I want to. The STNA has been added to the IWIP list. So starting next year, if your students are earning the STNA, you make sure you report it in EMIS correctly, get that $1,250 bonus money for each student who has earned their STNA. Make sure you take a look at that list. Make sure you're seeing what you have in place for next school year. You'd report it next year, and then you'd get that that bonus money back to you about this time in 2025, right? You'd report it at the end of the school year next year, and then the next cycle you would get the money. So that is there. The list is there. Be sure that you're looking at it. So I'm going to skip through real quick because it's 10 o'clock. Just I hate to rush this announcement, but I am actually fortunate that next year I will only be serving Region 1. The state has decided to hire additional career tech planning district consultants. And so I wanted to let you know that Region 6 and Region 7, who I previously had served, they are both hiring. If you know someone who might make a good CTPD consultant for SST, please get the word out. We need good people. So Region 6, which is this blue, and Region 7 are hiring. And we are out of time. There are links here for upcoming PD. Make sure you save the date for September 18th that we are having, or not we, but Ohio ACTE is holding a Special Needs Division PD Day, September 18th at Fort County Career Center. Make sure that your teachers know about it and they save the date. And with that, always I run out of time with these. I'm really sorry. I thank you for joining me. Remember, June 6th, our next session is in person at Ohio High Point. It is an extended coffee hour from 9 to noon. I hope that you are able to make it. I hope that you bring friends because you're just going to be amazed. Putting in chat the link to the feedback form. Thanks for your time. Sorry it's rushed. Have a great day.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Lisa, I emailed you the PDF of USV's plan so you can share.
Thank you. I will do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to close the meeting. Have a great day, everyone.